and welcome back to LinkedIn Logs, the jobs podcast for the website cpluscomedy.com. Like I just said, it's a website. Go there. Episode 61. Here we are, late in the week. I did not forget to make one. It was on my schedule, and I said I missed it. And then, so did something happen yesterday where I was like, oh yeah, let me just go ahead and do it. Oh yes, something big did happen yesterday to where I said, let me go ahead and do it. Let me go ahead and do the job. Oh, this is the jobs podcast for the website. People come down. I just said, well, the job podcast is ready to go there. It's a podcast. If you're new here, it's a podcast where I talk about the job market and jobs and getting jobs because it's been hard as shit for me to get to get some consistent money coming in without whoring my body out. And it's based off of LinkedIn because LinkedIn sucks. LinkedIn is the worst social. I would rather spend all day on TikTok. Anyway, here we are. What am I going to start off with? I'm going to move one story, and we'll move it to next week. Okay, now we are in the midst. LA is in grappling with these fires that are happening. There's Palisades, Altadena, all over Southern California. There have been anywhere up to at least 8 fires. They've been dealing with that. And there's been mixed messaging from the media in terms of how the fires started. I'm not saying like they have the answers, but like how the fires started, where they are. And this is not me putting down the media because I am part of that, whether I like it or not. But one of the bigger issues has been not with the I guess I shouldn't say mixed messaging. One of the bigger issues has been with the violent and overprocessed misinformation that's going around about these fires. By that I mean places like social media, your TikToks, your Facebooks, your YouTubes, cable news, conspiracy websites, comedians who are way past their prime, Whitney Cummings, all coalescing and essentially coming together and putting out the wrong news. Then you've got places like, and as much as I will talk about them later on, you got places like, why are my pants, the side of my knee is sticky? I have 2 4-legged reasons why that might be it. I'm wearing black. I'm going to get to the story in a second. I'm wearing black chinos, and I love them. They're great. They fit well. Whenever I put them on to go grocery shopping, I don't do much else. But whenever I put them on, Nova's my cat, immediately starts rubbing her body on top of me. It just immediately. Doesn't happen with the jeans. Doesn't happen with any other chinos. It's these black chinos. And then with Maverick, the dog, he always throws his body on top of me. So I Googled this morning. I don't get this story. I Googled this morning, when do pit bulls calm down? Because I'm telling you right now, every single time I come back from the gym, and it's the only time I now, at this point in his life, it's the only time I put him in the crate and I lock it. Because I can't come home to him running amok. But every time I let him out of his crate, it's like a bowling ball going down a lane at its top speed. He goes from 0 to sprint so quickly. From his crate, which might explain why the plastic in it is broken. the plastic, whatchamacallit. Anyway, let's get back to this. We have all this misinformation going around. Then on top of that, you've got places like CNN and MSNBC and broadcast news like CBS News. There's a reason I did not mention Fox. Broadcast news like CBS News, NBC News, and ABC News, all working together. Not working together, but like all working together to get out real information. And then there's your local news in Los Angeles that has boots on the ground, getting out the most up-to-date pertinent news at the time, because local news runs basically like I think 7 or 8 hours a day. Local news, oh man, you've got the morning typically, and then you've got, so that's like 2 hours, and then they 1 or 2 hours, and that breaks for the national syndicated shows, and then you have your midday shows. And then depending on the market, you might have a 4, you might have a 2, especially 4 to 7. That's another 3 hours. And then you've got, again, depending on the market, you might have a 10, you might have an 11, you might have 11:30, you might have a midnight. We don't need a midnight. We don't even need an 11:30. I'll tell you that much. So the worst out of all this is the misinformation. But on top of this, now you've got somebody who is coming in and saying, "Hey, we can replace all this easily." This comes from NPR, written by Chanless Duster. Local meteorologists could face layoffs amid new initiative with the Weather Channel. The Weather Channel is owned by Allen Media Group founder Byron Allen. I used to work at the Weather Channel. It was a place that one of the places I gave my all, and I was unceremoniously booted. Contract was not renewed. I was told over email by somebody who told someone else to not renew my contract. Oh, I was about to say her name. I'm not going to. Meteorologists at 27 local TV news stations are facing uncertainty about their jobs after Allen Media Group announced a new local weather initiative with the Weather Channel. The group, which owns TV stations and 21 markets across the country, said Saturday it is rolling out a new format for weather coverage that will have, quote, additional visual storytelling capabilities across its stations in 2025. The reason why they're doing this is because they want to engage viewers, essentially. But quite frankly, when I watch the local news in the morning, because CBS Mornings or Today's Show go to commercial, I don't watch GMA because they're always on commercial, then I'll see my local weather person talk about the weather. This week, I saw everybody talking about the snow coming the week before. Snow coming, or 2 weeks before, rather. Snow coming. Got all my information. Boom. Easy enough. The team under the new initiative will be led by Carl Parker, a meteorologist at the Weather Channel, and includes some meteorologists from local TV stations moving to Atlanta. Severe weather will remain a priority, the group said, and the new format will, quote, improve reporting capabilities, especially in high-stakes weather situations. It will also ensure, quote, the most accurate, timely, and engaging forecasts for communities across the country. Thing is, if somebody's already watching the Weather Channel, I was there. They would truly just talk about something that's happening at the moment. If there were hurricanes coming, then it was all hands on deck. People were working around the clock. They have live shows from I think 4 a.m. until noon. And then they have one evening show, and that's it. There are also stations facing ongoing layoffs that were announced in early 2024. Some of the layoffs come from places like Huntsville, Alabama, Iowa. yes, these are smaller places, but local news is so important, as we see, especially with these fires in Los Angeles, because there could be misinformation going around. When a certain presidential candidate, now current president, unfortunately, talks about dogs and cats being eaten in a small town by Haitians, by immigrants, well, people are gonna if they don't have the right information, they're gonna be bound to believe stupid things. This comes from Liam Riley at the Weather Channel, at CNN. Local TV meteorologists deliver tearful farewells as stations replace staff with the Weather Channel feed. Now, this did come to pass. I mean, it didn't come to pass. The layoffs did happen. This might happen. It was something that was going to happen. As I said, the layoffs were happening in 2024 for a year, and they knew this was going to happen. People all around were saying goodbye. Patrice Dayton in Terre Haute, Indiana. Kevin O'Port, the same thing. It was sad. I saw videos of this. It was sad to see. Atlanta's Weather Channel office is going to be the hub where this all takes place. The plan will see the locally produced segments replaced by a feed beamed into individual stations from the Weather Channel, which could include some of the station's former meteorologists. What I take this as is let's say they have a weather hit at 6:07 p.m. on your local news station. Well, the Weather Channel could just say the anchors toss the weather. It will go to local weather in just one moment, coming as courtesy from the Weather Channel in just one moment. They'll toss the weather, and then somebody at the Weather Channel, a meteorologist, will say, "Will not even be on screen." This is what I'm thinking. They'll not even be on screen, and then they'll talk about the weather, like, "Oh, here's what's going to happen in Terre Haute, Indiana. We were expecting rain, blah blah blah." Or they're going to pop up on screen in the studio, because they have like a couple of studios. I don't remember how many. When I left, when I left, they were building more offices in the building that they own, but they're also going to share offices. I don't know. It's going to be very strange. Like they were sharing offices with other places. I don't know what that was. So maybe they have multiple studios and they can just pop in, or maybe they have like at CNN they have these. God, I forgot what they're called. But sometimes they'll have correspondents chime in, and they'll be in a video feed with a generic like CNN background. There's a flash studio. They have a flash studio, which is truly the size. It's not the size of a box, but it's a very, very small room, and it just has a camera with a teleprompter inside the camera. And then you can see the feed of the show or whatever, and then like a seat and a green screen or a blue screen. So you sit in front of the green screen and facing the camera, and you deliver your story or whatever. That's what it's called, a flash studio, and that's why I assume there might be flash studios, which would make sense. I don't know why they're including Byron Allen trying to buy Paramount in this story. That's very funny. Trying to show how much he hasn't done. Mistakes he's made. In a press release, Allen Media said that the Atlanta-based operation will offer local stations new technologies, upgraded forecasting tools, additional graphic capabilities, and the ability to cover weather stories 24/7. A person familiar with the matter said the Atlanta-based staff will also be deployed during certain weather events. Okay, but here's the thing: if let's go back to Terre Haute, Indiana. If something happens, if a tornado's coming, you're gonna send somebody 6 hours to drive there to cover a tornado that probably missed. Like, I mean, or at that point it's probably hit. I don't know. Weather coverage is apparently going to remain a, quote, top priority for local stations, adding the new format will, quote, dramatically improve reporting capabilities, especially in high-stakes weather situations. I mean, the tools, yes, those make sense. The ability for these people to be able to, well, I mean, not the people that lost their jobs, but the people who work for the Weather Channel delivering weather-based news for their local stations. That makes sense. It's great to have those tools. You know, if I have a better laptop, a better computer, it's going to make editing way easier as opposed to working on an old computer. You know, but that doesn't necessarily mean that 40 or so people had to lose their job in town because you want to make it easier and cheaper, really, for you to deliver. I don't know. Speaking of cheap, this comes from the New York Times. This is something that we knew was going to, actually, we did not know it was going to happen until Tuesday or Wednesday. There were headlines going around, rumors saying that CNN was going to lay off like 200 people. That was the rumor. This comes from the New York Times. Oh, and it did happen. Written by Benjamin Mullen. I almost call him Ben. CNN plots major overhaul as it enters a new Trump era. Mark Thompson, who is the current CEO, as he took over for Chris Licht last year or a year and a half ago, something like that. He's they decided, I'm going to boil down the story for you. They decided we're going to let 200 people go. We're going to rehire 200 people, but for digital. He's trying to push CNN into the digital age. He's been here for 15 months. I was correct. On Thursday, the company said it would eliminate 200 jobs focused on CNN's traditional TV operations and add about the same number for new digital roles like data scientists and product engineers. CNN is aiming to hire 100 of those people in the first half of the year, Mark Thompson said. This is we'll get to what else they're going to offer with this in a second, but this is just an unfortunate side effect. When I saw this, and excuse me, let me finish the thought. It's an unfortunate side effect of the current state of of cable news. When I saw that headline, I immediately thought, if you know Mark Thompson's background, he comes from the BBC, I believe, and he did help shape them into a digital future, more or less. And then for the New York Times, he was was it the New York Times or hold on, Mark Thompson? I think it might have been Washington. Okay, hold on. Let me just say New York Times. Yes, he was the former president and the chief executive officer of the New York Times Company. And yes, from 2004 to 2012, he was the director of the BBC. Now, for the New York Times, while he did run that company from 2012 until 2020, there's a difference between running the New York Times, which is digital focused, digital only, and the cable network that is CNN. A lot of the changes are going to come from after they let these people go, or after these people have been let go. A lot of the changes are going to come in the idea of streaming platforms. Last year, in the bottom half of last year, the bottom quarter, CNN.com became a subscription based website. So the more articles you read, after like 10 articles, let's pretend that's the number, then you have to start paying, I think, $3 a month. Before that, when Chris Licht was in charge, they had a CNN Plus streaming service for, I think, 3 weeks, and then it was killed because it cost so much money. it's so it's hard to take a strategy that worked for the New York Times and to try to push subscriptions. They say that the people subscribing to CNN.com was exceeded their expectations, but at this point, I feel like it's that has plateaued. They don't give numbers or anything, but I feel like that is going to plateau. That is a thing. Like, people aren't going to CNN.com to consistently read news. And I guess I'm taking this from personal experience, because when I see, I just opened up my news tab and or my news folder on Chrome. But when I want to read something, I go to my RSS feed, which has the aggregate of everything that I typically read: New York Times, Wall Street Journal, NPR, PBS News, WABE, The Atlantic, New Yorker, New York Magazine. And yes, while a lot of those do have subscriptions, they're digital focused, and that's their thing, is that they drive a lot of writing. They promote a lot of writing. Whereas on the other hand, CNN is kind of is a visual company. And yeah, New York Times is really working on video, and they put out a lot of video, and they had a couple of shows between FX and Hulu and a couple of documentaries, but that's not their main thing. And with what Mark Thompson is doing here, he's trying to not recreate, but he's trying to grab what the New York Times has and bring it to CNN proper. And that doesn't make sense, because there's not I don't know if you've read a lot of CNN stories. First of all, the website is atrocious, but there's not really a huge focus on, I'll say it, good writing. And I'm not saying I'm the best writer in the world, but there's a lot of listicles. There's a lot of if you, especially looking at the front story, there's a lot of just crap you see in the corner. Like, I don't know, at least for the New York Times, when I go to the New York Times main page, I know what the main story they're promoting is. And then there's something suggested to me on the side, and then there's two smaller headlines under the big story. And right now, yes, they do have a video version of the Daily playing. It's a little busy website too. But comparatively, it's a more focused website than what CNN is. There's so much stuff just happening on CNN.com that it just doesn't make sense. There were a lot of personnel shifts as well. Jim Acosta was taken off his morning show schedule. Wolf Blitzer and Pamela Brown are, first of all, the Situation Room is moving to 10 a.m. Wolf Blitzer is going to be joined by Pamela Brown. Audie Cornish is getting a 6 a.m. show. Rahel Solomon's getting a 5 a.m. show. It just seems like they're just rejiggering for the sake of doing so. I think Tapper's show is going from 5 to 7 or 4 to 7, one of those. I don't know. And, and especially having been in that newsroom, those people are going to bitch and moan about it and be even worse at their jobs. I'm saying the people in the newsroom. I'm not saying the hosts or anything, even though one of them was really mean to me. I'll let you know, figure out who it is. I've already said her name multiple times. In December, the network saw its lowest period of web traffic in 2 years, according to analytics from firm ComScore, with 90.5 million unique visits, which is down from 175.5 million in March 2020. CNN said that other news sites have experienced similar declines, adding that CNN.com was the top news site in terms of total audience last year. The digital switch is something that makes sense. I'm not faulting that, but the idea that people are going to continue to pay more for something that they can get on TV right now, is just a fallacy. I can't name. You know, there's a house here in Atlanta, on the backs, going towards the southern belt line, the south belt line. You know, I live on the east belt line, and if you walk towards Grant Park, Reynoldstown, that area, if you walk from Old Fourth Ward, Emmett Park to Grant Park, on the belt line, there's a house, and it is I would say, modern house, that has glass windows, like the floor to ceiling glass windows. And there, I know, and I say this without being funny. I know it's a Russian guy that lives in there, because I don't know. I don't want to tell you no. Oh, actually, because I've heard him talking. He also has like the loudest. He's always on the phone, always on the phone, either outside his house, loud, or inside his house, looks loud. But he's always playing. He has a giant TV right next to his kitchen in the living room. Again, floor to ceiling windows that is just blaring CNN. It's just, he's always watching CNN. Every single time I've walked by his house, he's always watching CNN. And then at night, he has windows that can not dim but frost. But still, in the kitchen, those aren't frosted windows. So at night, he can remote control frost where the TV is, but you can still see the TV through the kitchen. It's so crazy. Anyway, people watch CNN. No one's going to CNN.com for their news. And another thing, what I read in here is that for the new streaming platform that they want, so they paywalled the site. They're going to bring back another streaming platform. Yes, you can watch CNN on Max and get some of their get the shows there, but they want to bring out another streaming platform for CNN, much in the same way that ESPN is going to be a new streaming platform for ABC for Disney. They want to do that, and they want to make more lifestyle shows, which doesn't make sense to me. People aren't going to CNN to watch lifestyle shows. You might have Anderson Cooper's real story or full story, whatever the hell that's called. That might work, but that works for them for at that point. The documentaries might work, but that works at that point. You know, not everybody wants to see, and again, not everybody. I don't want to watch 24 hours of news. So it's just like, focus on making things for CNN and then push it out into the world. That's what it lets HBO Max rather. That's what lets Max perform so well. If people see that they can watch a James Brown documentary, you know, on Max, produced by CNN Films. They don't want to. You already have Discovery Plus, and you know, from a certain standpoint, let those people watch Discovery Plus if that's what they want to watch. But let's not have multiple streaming platforms and you're barely focused on one of them. Disney Plus is succeeding because, well, for a lot of reasons, but you can also catch Hulu stuff and ESPN Plus stuff on that platform, and they're also doing well producing for that platform. Max is I go to Max every day, and I have to find something to watch so I can justify that $20 I'm spending. They're also doing vertical videos. I'm so sick of spam text messages. I am so sick of spam text messages. Anyway, vertical videos are also important for them too, and they want to start pushing out 50 to 100 of those videos per day, which is up 20% from last year. CNN's going to look different next year than what it is now. And I don't know if that's going to be good. But time will tell. Listen, if you like what you heard here, head to the website, cpluscomedy.com, where you can see me talk to famous people sometimes. You want to see a video version of the show, go to youtube.com/cpluscomedy, where you can see a video version of the other podcasts I do, Late Night Lately, the Late Night Show, and The Constitutionals, which is the entertainment business news podcast. You can follow us on TikTok if you still have it, Blue Sky, Instagram, and Facebook at C Comedy. Me on those platforms at Chad Black White. Thank you so much for listening. We'll see you next time. Bye.